I believe my 19-year-old daughter, Courtney, has been brainwashed by her boyfriend. We watched her boyfriend disrespect, bully, manipulate, and degrade her.
I really don't know who Courtney is anymore.
It was a control to know where she was every second of every day, who she was with, what she was doing, and if he couldn't have her, he told her that nobody could have her.
He doesn't want to share her.
Courtney met this boy 2 weeks before she was set to leave for Colorado State University. I feel that her boyfriend has taught her how to lie and cheat. I do believe he was a major influence in her leaving college. When we looked at our phone records, we saw that she was on the phone with him 3 to 7 hours a day. The most hurtful thing is to watch her boyfriend belittle her parents and tell us what rotten people we are. I can't believe the that your father tells you. I have no idea how he's as successful as he is. He must have a lot of to get where he is, because your whole family is so.
Her boyfriend told Courtney that he loves her so much that he would be willing to kill anybody that gets in the way of their relationship. I cry many nights blaming myself for what's happening with Courtney.
He totally took advantage of her, and he guilted her and manipulated and talked her into sending provocative photos of her, that he has needs and she's not there to satisfy him, and he needs to either watch porn or she needs to send more pictures. Yeah, I just can't believe my daughter did that. She went and packed up 2 garbage bags of clothes and called her boyfriend to pick her up. This has been a total nightmare.
I wouldn't be surprised if Courtney's boyfriend pressured her into marrying him.
Dr. Phil, if we can't find help for Courtney, I believe that she's going to be scarred for the rest of her life.
I heard you saying in the videotape, you said you don't even know who she is anymore, that you've lost the young, innocent, enthusiastic daughter that you once had.
Yeah.
Who has she become now?
Well, we don't see her very much, so...
How do you know she's changed so much then?
Because we saw her so much before, where she'd give us a jingle or shoot a text or...
But if you haven't seen much of her, how do you know that her values have so eroded?
When she started at Colorado State, and as the semester started, she was excited. She was excited for her classes. She was excited. We brought her horse there so that she could be on ranch riding teams and participate in the horse world, which is basically her world.
So her goals have changed.
Goals have changed.
But have her values changed? I mean, is she a different...
Well,
I found it hard to believe that you did that poor of a job parenting her, that in a month, that 18 years of, you seem like very solid parents.
Well, let's talk about our
18 years,
vacation.
that just all got wiped away. You realize you're indicting yourselves horribly here. You're saying, we spent 18 years and installed no foundation, no values, no moral compass, no nothing. She is adrift in a month. 18 years washed away. We were terrible parents.
I think that her boyfriend has done that good of a job.
So you've been outplayed by a 18-year-old young man.
We feel like that, yes.
He's manipulated every second of her time, and he is continually belittling what we tell Courtney. Courtney calls up and talks to us one way, and then talks to him another way.
Am I making a point here?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the point I'm making?
The point is that we did not do a bad job, and Courtney has a good foundation. And this
boy, maybe you're wrong. Maybe she is not as blind as you think. Maybe she's not as lost as you think. Maybe she's not as adrift as you think. Have you put a lot of pressure on her over this?
At first we did, yes.
Yeah.
Well, she says you put so much pressure on her that she cracked. That she wound up in a hospital.
We confronted, when she came back on her first break from college, we confronted her because we had gone and we were forbidden to go talk to his parents. We were forbidden to be on the property where he lives. We were by the boyfriend. And when he went to Colorado to visit him, we went and brought a gift to his mother, and we offered peace. We wanted to understand what was going on because we've never met his parents.
Sure.
We brought an interpreter because it's a language barrier. And we talked to her about it. And when Courtney came home and we confronted her, we said, this is what your boyfriend is saying. This is what his mother is saying. Nothing is aligning. You know, I don't think he's being honest with you, or his mom isn't being honest. And when she got confronted with that, she hyperventilated and went into a shaking fit, and we took her to the hospital.
Okay, can we agree on this? Your approach is not working.
Yes.
It's not working.
It's not working.
Okay, so it's either you want to be right or you want to be happy.
No, we don't want to be right.
It's because that's what you've done so far. You have the right to expect that what you've raised her to do, raised her to be, what she stated her goals were, what she committed to.
Right.
You have the right to expect her to be consistent with that. And you do. I mean,
Right.
logically you do. I'm not
Right.
debating that. But that's not what she's doing. And you're sticking to that, and it's caused a breakdown, and it's not making you happy. So, I mean, you can be right or you can be happy, but in this case, I don't think it's the same.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
I'm in love with my boyfriend even though my parents hate him. I'm not the problem. My parents are the ones who have an issue. I don't believe my boyfriend's brainwashing me. His feelings are real and authentic. My parents forget that they raised me. I'm too smart to be brainwashed, and I wasn't born yesterday. My parents say he constantly lies to me. They think he's gonna sex traffic me. They think he's involved with the cartel. That could not be further from the truth. My boyfriend and I met at the ranch where we worked. Our goal is to get married, and I wish my parents would stop judging him. We genuinely love each other, and we're a match made in heaven. I really don't have one negative thing to say about our relationship. This is the necklace my boyfriend gave me for Christmas. He said it's just like us, our hearts are intertwined forever. I currently live in a trailer with my boyfriend and his family. I know I used to live in a beautiful home before, but now living here, I don't have to constantly walk on eggshells anymore. I'd rather live in a smaller house with no drama than a bigger one where there's stress. It's really hard to be around my parents now. I really feel like my mom and my dad can't really even look at me anymore. My mom cries all the time. Sometimes I feel like, here we go again, it doesn't faze me anymore. My father was my champion and my best friend, and now he acts like he's disappointed in me, and it makes me so sad. They have made me choose between my boyfriend and them. I hope Dr. Phil can help my family.
Let's just cut to the chase. Why do you think your parents are so concerned?
I don't know. It's been from day one. I came to them, said I was dating a guy, and they said absolutely no.
And they don't want you having to do with him? What's wrong with him?
I don't know why they said that from the beginning. I don't understand why they think he's such a bad person.
Well, did they have some image in mind of who you were going to meet and fall in love with? I mean, he's not a doctor or a lawyer, he's working in a barn.
Right.
Is that the problem?
I don't know. They've never, before I started dating him, they never expressed that to me. They always said, you're going to love who you love. We're going to stay out of your love life.
This young man, he's a minority,
Yes.
and he works at a barn.
Not anymore, but yes, when I met him.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's not a college student.
No.
They think that you have thrown everything away for him. Is that true?
I don't believe that's true.
What about college?
It was a good program and everything, just I don't want to be a vet, and it was mainly for like pre-vet. So I didn't think it was a program for me, but I wanted to finish the year out and everything. I was gonna finish the year, then COVID happened.
So did you finish the year?
I did finish the year, yes.
With passing grades?
Yes.
So you're no longer a freshman?
I'm no longer a freshman.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got through your first year of college?
Yes.
And now you're living with this boy and his family?
Yes.
Okay. They say they've lost you, that you were young and sweet and innocent and had values and a moral compass. Now that's just all gone, that you've been brainwashed by this young man.
Yeah, they've made that very clear. I don't believe I've been brainwashed. All those morals and goals are still there.
And when you were at college, they got a hold of your call log.
They've done this multiple times from day one.
Yeah, and they, like on Saturday, 5 calls totaling 8 hours and 28 minutes. Sunday, 4 calls, 9 hours and 54 minutes. Monday, 3 calls, 2 hours and 58 minutes. It just goes on and on. I mean, you were spending hours and hours a day talking to this young man.
Right. And I will admit, I was on the phone that much, but I wasn't watching TV. I wasn't doing that. I don't play video games. I wasn't watching TV. That's what I did in my free time.
Your all's interpretation of that was what?
She was spending more time with them plotting what their future is going to be instead of applying themselves to school. And when we talked to them about it on one of the breaks when she came home, we said, listen, we understand that you're dating. We understand that you're trying to make this long-distance relationship work. Can you please just cut down on the phone calls so that she can apply herself to doing her homework and getting her grades in school? And he agreed to me, looked me in the face and agreed to me, and then the next thing, all the minutes are doubled.
Do y'all remember when you first met?
Yeah, you don't want to hang up the phone, last one.
Yep,
I remember
right.
that. We try and tell each other that.
I could never get her to hang up. I mean, that's just the way it is in the beginning.
Right.
What I didn't do is I didn't forbid her to make friends, to talk to people, to go out, to be on call every second of the day if I call you, not to have any type of life other than me and the phone.
Right.
That's,
so you're concerned that he's possessive?
yes, I am.
From a young age, my parents have always been involved in my life almost to an extent that is too much. My parents are the biggest helicopter parents.
I don't think I'm a helicopter parent. I think I'm available to my kids. I feel that it was an invasion of her privacy, but I was so scared for her safety.
I went on her computer and I found an incredibly long stream of texts to him, and I printed them out. He said that we have to lie to everybody. He said stuff that I will kill anybody in my way.
I found out that Courtney and her boyfriend were planning on staying at a motel in Colorado.
I work with a lot of law enforcement, and I asked them about that hotel, and they said, oh, absolutely do not stay at that hotel.
It was in a very disturbing part of town, and what went on at the motel was scary.
That is a hub for sex trafficking, prostitution, drug dealing. When I heard that, I immediately took a flight to Colorado. The stuff that we have done going in through these last 11 months have been horrific, but there's no way that I'm ever going to give up on my daughter.
Well, there's a difference between giving up on her and driving her away. When you were home, you actually wound up in the hospital.
I did, yes.
What drove you to that point?
So, while he was over in Colorado with me, they showed up at his parents' house, uninvited, and confronted his mother. And they say that she said things that I don't believe that would ever come out of her mouth. She loves her son so much. And they told me that the second they picked me up from the airport, they put all this stuff on me, just started piling it all on, and all on, and all on.
Like what?
That he was gonna sex traffic me.
That his mother said that?
Yeah, that his intent is just to marry me and that's it.
Green card?
Huh?
To get a green card?
Pretty much, but I don't believe that's the case, and he's made it very clear to me that that is not the case. And they piled all this on me, and I was upset, but it was late at night, so I talked to him about everything that was that they had told me, and I was like, hey, we need to talk about this. And we talked, and he goes, you know that none of that's true. And I said, I know it's not. And he's like, that's not how my mom thinks. My mom knows that. And so the next day, I was sitting in the car. We were going to go get our nails done. And I broke down. And I said, I just don't get it. And they started piling it all on again, all on, to the point where I had a full-blown panic attack.
And what do you say about that, Mom?
Well, I was there and held his mom's hand across the table when we talked. So that isn't made up.
And she told you that she feared that he was just doing this to traffic her?
No, that's
Never
a
said
little
that.
separate. No, her main thing was she said She said, I don't know what he's doing. I have asked him to be respectful to you and Scott. She said, but it is our tradition to find the girl that they want to marry, isolate them from their family, and then once they marry, they can go back. And she just shook her head in tears, and she said, I don't know if this is what he's thinking. He doesn't talk a lot and spends hours in his room.
Did you recognize that all of these things you were saying and the evil nature of what you were alleging and saying to her was causing her to have a really bad reaction?
I held her hand and cried with her, so we were both together through this.
So you recognized that this was leading to a full-blown panic attack?
We stopped and said, let's take a deep breath so we can talk through this together.
On the way to the hospital?
No,
before we left.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But it was too late.
Yeah.
At that point,
Yeah.
physiologically, it's all running away with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we couldn't
at that
comfort her.
Uh-huh. Because at that point, she's feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, we tried to. Yeah, we're not proud of that.
Do you feel like you've invaded her privacy?
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like you've had your privacy invaded?
100%.
Because you've actually gotten in and read text between she and her boyfriend.
They've hacked my Instagram too.
You were caught sending inappropriate pictures, and then you showed up at the motel unannounced. You flew the red eye, and then you were tracked on an app, and so they showed up at a coffee shop. So they're
That's all in like reverse order. First it was the tracker, then it was the motel, then it was the pictures, but yeah.
and then they visited the boyfriend's parents without telling you.
Right. And I asked them, wait till I come home so we can introduce our parents like normal boyfriend, girlfriend would introduce their parents to each other.
Yeah. And how'd you feel about them doing all this?
Just disrespected.
Yeah.
With all of this that has been going on with Courtney's boyfriend, it's building up into a perfect storm. My wife, Tanya, is an emotional wreck. She's even lost about 20 pounds.
I admit that this has taken a toll on me.
And my wife is in a pretty dark place right now. We have a 17-year-old autistic son that needs our constant attention.
He often asks me why I'm sad. I do my best to try and hide it because I don't know how he feels. And I worry that he'll worry.
We're living in a nightmare bubble, and we just can't contain this chaos anymore.
You say you feel a lot of pressure because
I
you're
love
their hope, their normal child, you say. What do
I
you
love
mean?
my brother to death. He makes us the most humble people on the planet. But I also know, like, if I'm not successful, they won't have a successful child.
So having an autistic son has been a challenge. He was diagnosed when he was 2 years old. So we've lived as a family trying to do this. And there are some pretty alarming statistics about families that have an autistic child and how hard it is to get through a normal life because you don't have a normal life anymore. So
It takes a toll.
it does. And we tried to not show any more for our son Jake than Courtney. And Jake needed a lot of special attention. When we went places, we'd be halfway through our meal and we'd have to leave because there was going to be a meltdown. And then we felt bad that we took Courtney away from dinner or from Disneyland or anything. So we always tried to make it up for her and give her things and opportunities to make up for having to take her away from some things as she was growing up. We never put the burden of Jake on Courtney at all. We're letting her write her story and be that. And if that's controlling, I'm sorry. I was just trying to be a
But
dad.
are you letting her write her story? You're not letting her write her story right now because you don't like what she's writing. You have nobody in this world. Hear me when I say this. You have nobody in this world more dedicated to your success and happiness that would make greater sacrifices for you in your life, nor will you ever have, than the two people sitting in front of you right now.
I 100% agree
These people love you. They're devoted to you. They want the best for you. Now, you may not always agree with what that is, but their motives are pure. I'm a pretty good judge of horse flesh myself.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, their motives are pure. I'm not saying that you agree with them or that I necessarily agree with everything that they may think, but there's not a saboteur bone in either of their bodies. I can tell you, God strike me dead as I say it if I'm wrong. There's not a sabotaging bone in either of their bodies with regard to you.
And I do believe that.
They want you healthy and happy. It doesn't mean they don't second guess some of the things that you may say. But, you know, our job as parents is to meet our kids where they are, not to ask them to meet us where we are. And when she's having a breakdown, an anxiety attack breakdown, she's feeling judged and she is afraid. Yours to be her soft place to fall. That doesn't mean you always tell her what she wants to hear, don't get me wrong. Okay. But you have to understand, you couldn't be creating what you say you don't want any more than if it was your mission in life. If you woke up in the morning and said, okay, we got to figure out how to get her over to him. Yeah. You're seriously, psychologically, this is a no-brainer. You've got to understand.
Courtney has had panic attacks in the past, and one of them, we did have to take her to the hospital. She began to convulse and couldn't breathe and was shaking uncontrollably. It was frightening to watch. She couldn't stop shaking. We couldn't calm her down. We found a place to send her for her anxiety, but she refused to go. She said, I'm not going to be locked up in a mental ward.
I honestly think the facility would be better for my mom at this point.
First off, you guys are catastrophizing this situation. Language is a very powerful thing. Let's face it. We're talking about somebody she's dating. We're not talking about bone cancer here. That's right. We're not talking about the highway patrol calling and saying, does your daughter drive a so-and-so? Yeah. So God forbid that any of that ever happened, but let's put it in perspective and recognize we're talking about some life choices here. But the key word is choices. You do have choices. And when I look at your language, and I actually wrote it down, it jumped out at me so much. You say, complete destruction of a young lady. Seriously? You're selling yourselves awfully short. You have installed more of a personality in this young woman by the time she was 5 years old. Seriously. And certainly by the time she was 13, 14, moral compass, vision, ideas, ability to think for herself than you're giving yourselves credit for. We've lost our daughter. You know where she is right now? She's on the Dr. Phil show. She has been willing to come here and put her personal life in front of millions of people because she cares about your approval. She cares about your acceptance. Am I wrong?
You're 100% right. That's why I'm here.
And Tanya, verge of a breakdown. I've never been like this. Throwing her future away. How old are you?
19.
19. Throwing her future away. You don't always agree with every choice your kids make. We have two boys that are as different as daylight and dark. Yes. Mm-hmm. Different. I've got one that's, well, this one is Mr. Preppy, Corporate America, University of Texas, SMU Law School. And this one,
I know about that one.
His younger brother, that's him. I think you can count the tattoos. I don't know if you can count the tattoos. But by the way, he is on stage at Madison Square Garden doing his music on tour with the Jonas Brothers. He's amazing. He went to USC. You know, that's him on stage. You meet them where they are and then hope that you've installed the moral compass and that they are good people and good citizens that do good things with a good heart. And both of our boys do, thanks to their mother.
So how do we embrace her boyfriend and her lifestyle when he won't meet with us? He refuses everything about it.
That's why you don't negotiate with ultimatums. You don't want to cut off. I said there's a wall, there's no communication here. There's no wall. You want her to be able to talk to you about him. It doesn't mean that you have to approve. Maybe you give her the ability to ask him some questions that get him to be more forthcoming. But you don't do that where if she knows if she brings him up, it's a meltdown. You're not going to be the only voice in your child's ear, and she's got someone else in her ear right now.
Absolutely.
So you want to be the best voice in her ear.
That's a good way to put that, yeah.
But you have no influence over her right now because you have severed that relationship, that communication line. You've got to keep this open and keep a dialogue open with your dad. Your dad's a guy. He can tell you about guys. And you need to listen about guys. And your mother is your mother, and she knows about relationships and guys. And if you do get married, you want him walking you down the aisle, you want your mother helping you pick you don't want to burn these bridges. And you guys hear what I'm saying, right?
I do.
And are you willing to do what I'm asking you to do?
Absolutely.
You've got to hit the reset button, declare détente. I'm not asking you to say, wonderful, we love him, we're just going to decide he's the most wonderful guy in the world, and everything he's ever said we've decided is okay. It's not okay. He said some stuff he shouldn't. Come on. Right. I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying détente and let things unroll, but reopen this flow here so you have an opportunity to A, be plugged in without having to be a spy, and you have influence where you can discuss things in an open manner. Can we do that?
We can do that.
I mean, fair enough? Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to see this situation improve tremendously in a very short period of time. Okay. You've sold yourselves way too short. You've done a much better job here than you're giving yourselves credit for.
Is their daughter blinded by love?
They say that you've been brainwashed.
Or are they overprotective parents?
They've had the tracker on me since I was 16.
She says you put so much pressure on her that she wound up in a hospital.
Next, Dr. Phil. Check your local listings.